All right, we're back to the Pokemon picker, the ultimate favorite Pokemon picker. It's a tier list. I'm just gonna call it what it is, a tier list. We're up to Generation 6. So for Gen 1, we said Eevee, Charizard, Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Lapras, Primeape, Nidoking, Marowak, Gyarados, Mew, Butterfree, Kabuto, Gengar, Dragonite. Obviously, there's no Dark type, so we just put Pissigno there. Steel type, obviously, Magneton is the only one. You know what? I'm just gonna put Magnemite because he's better. I mean, just simpler design. Jigglypuff, Eevee, gimmick form. Obviously, Charizard. He got the best. He got another form. Mewtwo. Favorite is Eevee. Simple, just straightforward. I like Bulbasaur. I also like Venusaur. So I'm gonna trade him out for Venusaur just because of the plant. I just I like this aesthetic actually. I'll trade him out for Ivysaur. Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard. You know, back when Super Smash Bros. Brawl came out, and they revealed all three of them, but they didn't just give Pokemon Trainer Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur because that would be too OP. They gave him Squirtle because he's agile and he's small, Ivysaur as like a medium fighter, and Charizard as like a heavy set fighter. So this way, Pokemon Trainer could be varied in his attacks for Smash Brothers. And I don't know, it just fit perfectly because for one thing, you had in the show in the anime, Ash rarely evolved his Pokemon. I think the only one he evolved all the way up was Charizard, and then Squirtle and Bulbasaur stayed Squirtle and Bulbasaur. I think the whole anime, unless he evolved Ivysaur, and I didn't know about it, but um, yeah, that's kind of the reason why. I like their designs as they just look better. I think as cuter Pokemon, and then Ivysaur looks better because of the plant. Um, I used to have dreams about Venusaur. I used to have like nightmares about Venusaur actually because I thought he just looked something about him just looked intimidating. And the fact that he's a grass poison type made me a little afraid to go around, because of the name Ivy. Obviously, poison Ivy. You put it together. Um, for Gen 2, I picked Stantler because, I was going to pick Teddy Ursa. I do like Teddy Ursa. Um, Stantler was one of the first Johto Pokemon I think I ever encountered because of Pokemon Coliseum. I think I caught him. I think it was either Coliseum or Emerald. I don't remember. But I skipped Gen 2 when I was a kid. I never got to officially play like Gold, Silver. I had a friend lend me Crystal for a little while, and then that was like a little while, and then back then it was like Pokemon did everything they couldn't do in Gen 1. They did it in Gen 2. So that was a big generation to miss. And when they went right to Gen 3, everything from Gen through Gen 2 was just obsolete because you couldn't transfer Pokemon up from red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal. So I missed out on that generation, but I got to experience one of the best anyways with Gen 3. Typhlosion I picked because he uh, just out of all the fire types in Gen 2, I think he's honestly the best, you know. Um, Out of all the starters too, I think it's probably the strongest. Um, Totodile, I just like his design. Bayleaf, I like his design. I like Bayleaf's design over Meganium because he's just just autumn colored, and I like that. I like the shiny forms too. Um, is there a way to actually? Oh, okay. Ampharos, because of the whole situation with the lighthouse. He's like the light. Delibird, because he looks like Santa Claus. Santa Claus had a Pokemon. You know, same goes for Stantler. He's a reindeer. Stantler and Delibird. Heracross, because I think the Stag Beetle, out of all the bugs in the insect kingdom, Stag Beetle I think looks the most intimidating, and you know, it was cool that they made a bug fighting type. You know, they finally gave bugs a purpose rather than just attaching flying type to them. Crobat, because I never would have thought something good would come out of having a Zubat and then using Golbat and getting max friendship with Golbat would evolve him into this. But yeah, Crobat is actually pretty strong if you use him correctly. Pillow I really just picked Pillow because eventually evolves into this Mamoswine. You know, I'm actually gonna do that. I'm gonna search him out for Donphan because Pokemon the first movie, the first Johto Pokemon besides Togepi that you get to see. This is not counting the Pikachu's Vacation intro movie. You get to see Donphan in action, and we actually didn't even know this Pokemon's name. They just reveal him, and we didn't even get to hear it in the movie. It's just revealed later, like what kind of Pokemon it is. And I remember thinking that this was a Pokemon in Gen 1 that I just never caught. Like maybe it was in the Safari Zone. And I remember just like searching and I never caught it. And now I know why. Ho-Oh, because it's Ho-Oh. Why did I pick it for flying type? I mean, yeah, my favorite would be... There are many good flying types. Mantine is one. I do like Hoot, but yeah, if I'm being honest, Ho-Oh all the way, Ho-Oh all day. Celebi. I picked Heracross twice. That's weird. Yeah, nah. Yeah. Then again, it's not so weird. He really is the best bug type. Tyrannosaur, I remember seeing like I think it was like a Burger King. I don't remember if it was like a Pokemon card or if it was like an advertisement, but I remember seeing like a little piece of artwork with Feraligatr and Tyranitar were fighting, and it kind of reminded me of Godzilla. And then I guess Tyranitar is kind of technically supposed to be maybe somewhat based on Godzilla. Anyways, Tyranitar is awesome. I like when they make him use Hyper Beam in the Celebi movie. Mischievous, because Mischievous is the only ghost type of Gen 2. Kingdra, because Kingdra is the only dragon type of Gen 2. There weren't that many dragon types. Just slim pickings here. They didn't really make that big of an appearance. Yeah, Umbreon. Umbreon is probably my top 5 favorite Pokemon, starting with Lucario. But if it's a shiny Umbreon, especially, I love Umbreon. What should I pick here? Oh, click the shiny charm. Yeah, there we go. Make them shiny. Yeah, the shiny forms of Pokemon that I like the most are the ones with the blue hue. And then I like Ho-Oh's shiny form because it's actually gold and silver, and it's pretty representative of the game it comes from. Yeah, Scizor. Scizor is awesome. I like Feraligatr. Mega for Alligator, because Pokemon Legends EA finally gave us Mega forms for other starters besides Gen 1. And I'm glad for Alligator and Meganium got one. I am kind of sad for Typhlosion, although he technically did get a Hisuian form already. You know, it's something. It's not nothing, but oh well. And then we got, you know, my favorite legend from that generation, Lugia. I'll say Lugia and Ho-Oh in tandem because they were both flying type Pokemon and they're both legendary Pokemon, and I like the whole theme with the towers. Ho-Oh being themed around, you know, having somewhat of a connection with the dogs, and Lugia having a connection with the 3 legendary birds. So that's why I picked both of them basically. Moving on to Gen 3, I picked Loudred, Blaziken. Blaziken was the first Hoenn Pokemon I ever got, and I remember getting him all the way to like level 90. And then I left him hanging. And then when Diamond and Pearl came out, I transferred him all the way up. Diamond and Pearl, used him there, used him in Battle Revolution, used him in Black and White, used him in X and Y. I basically used, I think I've been using the same Blaziken since I was about 8 years old. So I've held on to Blaziken for a pretty long time. Kyogre. Kyogre just looks cool. I like the orca whale design of him. They gave him these like hand size, kind of reminds me of Lugia in a way, these like finger sized fins. Skeptile. He's not my favorite starter, but he is definitely one of the cooler looking starters. Final forms at least. Manectric. I wasn't really a fan of Manectric at first, but then when I started using him more, he kind of grew on me. Regice, whatever you want to call it. Bellroom. I was gonna say Glalie, but you know, Glalie just ugly looking, and I don't know. I like Frostlass more. Bellroom. I didn't even know this was a fighting type at first. It kind of blew me away when I found out it was. Gulpin. I don't really like what it evolves into, but I just like its simplistic design. Flygon. He should get a Mega Evolution. Rayquaza, because he's iconic. Jirachi, because he's iconic. Shedinja. It's my favorite bug type of that generation. It's kind of a tie of Greninja, and I like Anorith a little bit. I like Anorith, but I like Shedinja a little bit more. Relincanth, because he helps you unlock the Reggies. Duskull. Salamence, Crawdon, Mawile, Routes, because of his relationship with Wally. Oh, connection with Wally. Favorite, I like Mudkip. Mudkip became like a meme for a long time. I remember. Favorite gimmick form, I'm gonna go with Shadow Lugia, because yeah, that was the best gimmick form they could come up with from that generation. Deoxys. I like Deoxys from that generation. Deoxys used to freak me out because I never realized that the actual Pokemon is the jewel inside its chest. The rest of it is just kind of like a form it takes on to look human, I guess. And then favorite out of all of them, Kyogre. Like, I like Free Willy, okay? Ambipom. So Gen 4. Favorite normal type, Ambipom. Fire type, Infernape. Because look, slim pickings. You don't get Rotom. You definitely don't get this form. If I remember correctly, you don't get this form till like way later in the game. And that's in Platinum. In Diamond and Pearl, you don't get nothing. You get Rapidash on some route, but yeah, there was just no fire types in Gen 4. It's weird. Favorite water type, I go with Manaphy, because he's the Prince of the Sea. Torterra, because he's got a tree on his back. Notch Deer Pichu, because he's special. I was gonna say Ukulele Pikachu, but Notch Pichu is way more special. He can't be transferred up. He can't get to Black and White or any of the other generations. He's stuck in Gen 4. But if you have him, keep him. He's a good boy. You can't evolve him. Can't do much with him. But, he's iconic. Mamoswine. They should bring him back, too. Mamoswine, because I think he's the only ice type that... I mean, he wasn't like... don't get me wrong. He wasn't a strong ice type, but he's super weak to, water, to fighting. But I like his design. I like that he is just a full, complete mammoth at this point. Lucario, because he... Actually, out of all the Pokemon, he is my favorite Pokemon. Croagunk. I think I like Croagunk mostly because Brock had him in the anime, and he kind of replaced the role of the ear pincher. Like, that used to be Misty's role whenever Brock would instantly fall in love with a girl. Garchomp. Because of Cynthia, mostly. And also, he just looked intimidating the first time I saw him. Staraptor also. It's a very strong flying type. Gallade. Yanmega. Yanmega because, they finally gave Yanma a stronger evolution. They beefed up a few Gen 2 Pokemon in this game. Granidos, however you say his name. I just like dinosaur Pokemon a lot. Rotom, because Rotom. Which backwards is motor. Giratina. I remember Nintendo Power came out with a magazine that came with a paper cutout of this guy, and I remember putting it together. And it's one of the things I still have in my collection. It's pretty cool. It's, I didn't really know much about Giratina. I didn't know that when Platinum came out, it came with a special edition with a figure. But I have the paper figure, and that's all I needed. Darkrai. Darkrai, I think, is one of the most misunderstood mythicals because he's actually a good guy in his film, in his movie. I remember them kind of like teasing, like, yeah, he gives people nightmares, and he's bad, but no, he's actually good. He's he's Darkrai. And you have to actually have a nightmare to catch him, so that's awesome. Magnezone. Because Magnemite. They gave Magneton a third evolution. That's cool. Togekiss, because they gave Togetic an actual third evolution, and I would say it was pretty strong. The fairy type didn't exist yet, but it was still pretty strong. Piplup. So even though I like Infernape and I love Torterra, I always have a soft spot for Piplup. It's just, over time Eevee grew on me as a starter. Cyndaquil, I've always liked Cyndaquil as a starter. Mudkip, because I started with Sapphire, and I remember just thinking, like, I like Mudkip, but what if I start with the Torchic? Because Torchic really appealed to me at the time. All in all, though, Mudkip's grown on me over the years, and Swampert's become a better Pokemon competitively. At least I think so. Dialga. Oh, gimmick form? Yeah. Yeah, bring this back, Game Freak. Please. Primal Dialga. This should have been his form in BDSP. And there should have been a Primal Palkia too. And technically there's an origin form now. But, it's not here, so we're not gonna discuss it. Arceus, because he's just the legend of legends. You can't go wrong. I think he was the only legendary Pokemon at the time who you could catch at level 80. And that was a very high level, steep, uh, very low catch rate. I remember. Lucario. It's my favorite Pokemon of Gen 4. And debatably, probably my favorite Pokemon of all of them. For Black and White, I picked Meloetta. Black and White had a lot of legends. Gen 4 had a lot of legends, but Black and White had a lot of legends and mythicals. And yeah, Victini, Meloetta, they were awesome. Samurott, because he's a freaking samurai. Sawsbuck, because he's Bambi. Blitzel, because something about Blitzel just screams Safari Zone. Yeah, he just feels like an original Pokemon that they saved for later designs. And I forget what these two are part of the Poke Studio thing. I never did that. Keldeo. I love Braviary. I love Glowwork because he can fly. I'm always gonna remember that. Like, he's a ghost ground type, but he can learn the move Fly, which makes him far more valuable, in my opinion. Musharna, because he evolves from Muna, and this is the pattern Pokemon that, if you remember this very, very small detail from Gen 1, this NPC mentions wanting to catch a Pokemon with a floral pattern, and there it is, Muna. I also like the design of Musharna. He's a dream eater. Like, he's a sleeping subconscious. I want to say, like, he's like a little homunculus Pokemon, something like that. Volcarona, who's should have been a legend, honestly. You find him at the bottom of a pyramid. Tortuga and Caracosta. I think that's how you say his name. Chandelure, Reshiram, Zora. I mostly like Zora because of the movie and his relationship to Celebi. Excadrill, because he just looks awesome. I don't know. I didn't really care for this Pokemon, honestly. Cottony, but it's the only fairy type of Gen 5, I guess. Favorite starter of this? Oshawott. It's Oshawott. I like this form for Galurk. I don't know. My opinion might be, because I'm not familiar with any of this. I'm not gonna pick any of this. G-Max Garbodor, Mega Scrafty. Mega Excadrill looks cool, but yeah, I just think this looks the coolest. I like this for Galurk. I'm glad he got a new Mega form. Zekrom, because he's the obvious choice. He's Dragon, Electricity. I think that's the first time they combined those two types. And he represents ideals, while Reshiram represents truth. And I think the one that represents ideals went very far for me. At least I felt connected to it on my first playthrough of Pokemon Black 2 and Black. Yeah, I played Pokemon Black and Black 2. And then I think I played Pokemon White, but like I never finished it. Like I saw that it was the same game, just the roles reversed, and I thought, oh, okay. Eventually I went back and played them. Samurott's my favorite of this generation because he's Samurott. So why wouldn't he be? So now we're down to Gen 7. Gen 6. Who's my favorite normal type of Gen 6? I'm glad they include Mega Pidgeot here. These are normal types? Oh, okay. I always thought they were pure fire. Oh. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna have to go with Furfur. I mean, he's just a dog, you know. He's a dog with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different forms. Which doesn't change his type, it just changes his design. But still, it's pretty it's just cool that they did that for, you know, a Pokemon that wasn't Pikachu, that wasn't, you know, like a fan favorite. It's just a new Pokemon. It just randomly has 9 designs. Favorite fire type of Gen 6? I was actually really impressed they made Groudon a fire type. Primal Groudon a fire ground type. Because it just made so much sense. I do like Mega Blaziken's form. Yeah. Yep, we're gonna go with Mega Blaziken on that one. Favorite water type of Gen 6? Well, that's easy. Greninja. Favorite grass type? You know, when I'm thinking of doing these things, I think partly design wise, somewhat strategy, but mostly doing this tier list, I'm thinking design, like what Pokemon design sticks out to me a lot more than strategy. Some Pokemon, you know, some Pokemon you can have a really good strategy with, you know, but with a lot of these, I'm going by just my favorites because this is the favorite picker. So, grass. I was not a fan of Skiddo. I like Mega Skepta. I like that they gave Venusaur a pretty good Mega. I'm gonna have to go Quilladin. I have a habit of doing this. Like I'm picking the second evolution of the grass starters. Who's the best thunder type? I'll go with Ampharos. Mega Ampharos. I know I'm not picking that many Gen 6 Pokemon, but you know, these forms technically are Gen 6 Pokemon because they were introduced in Gen 6. So I'll count them. Favorite ice type? Auroros, because look at it. You know what? Make it shiny. Make it shiny. Yeah. Favorite fighting type? You know, it may come as a surprise, but I actually really liked Hawlucha initially. I do like Mega Lucario, but something about his original design I like more. Poison type. Okay, I like Dragalge. Initially, I was not a fan of that design. You know, I understand why he looks like that. I didn't really quite understand, like, it just kind of reminds me of Kingdra. Like this is Gen 6 Kingdra, pretty much. Still, I mean, he looks awesome. Don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna have to go with Gengar on this one. Although Gengar kind of reminds me more of a more of a ghost type. Well, what ghost types do they have? Oh, that's Dragon. Oh yeah, it was slim pickings for ghost. Oh, Aegislash. You know, I like Aegislash, but you know what? Honedge, the whole design of Honedge and the sword, this just the one sword. I like this the best. Something about it just screams Zelda, and I'm a big fan of The Legend of Zelda, so that's why I'm picking that. I'm going with that one. Ground types. That's a tough one. I'll go with Primal. You know, I'll go with Zygarde. Only because Zygarde is really interesting to me. Flying type. Who was my favorite flying type this generation? Well, you have every type of Pavilion here, so that's nice. I'm gonna say Mega Rayquaza. Psychic type. They introduced Shadow Mewtwo this year? Oh yeah. Oh, Pokken Tournament came out that long ago? Wow. Sometimes I forget Pokken came out on the Wii U. So that's probably around the time that X and Y came out. Wow. Then again, I don't really count that. I mean, I'm gonna go with Malamar. Malamar's cool. Damn, they didn't really introduce much bug Pokemon, did they? Aside from the Scatterbug line, the Vivillon line. So I'm gonna go with Mega Heracross. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mega Heracross. You know, Scizor. I like original Scizor. When I saw his Mega, I was not a fan of it. He kind of just looks a little more bulky. You know, it looks cool from a certain angle, like in 3D and stuff, but nah, I'm still not a fan of it. Mega Deontay, Barbaracle. I'm gonna go with Tyrantrum. Aurora's Tyrantrum. Remember, more dinosaurs. The more dinosaurs they introduce, the better. The better they were for it. Dragon. Who was my favorite dragon of Gen 6? I kind of liked how Gumi was a slime. Yeah, many people disagree with me, but like I like Noivern. Noivern, Noibat to Noivern. I never expected it to be a dragon, but when I learned it was a dragon, I wanted it so bad. And stats wise, he's not the best, but I still love him, so that's why I pick him. Favorite dark type of Gen 6? Let's see. I don't want to pick Malamar again. Greninja, I only associate with water. So yeah, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say of all of these, probably nah. I was kind of impressed that they gave Gyarados a Mega Form, and I initially thought that Mega Form would make him a Dragon type, and then I was surprised to learn, no, it made him a Dark type, a Dark Water type, I believe. And to go from Magikarp to this, it's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. And there's a whole legend there about him, so you know, there's all that going for him. Steel. I already picked Honedge, so I wasn't a fan of Klefki. Mega Steelix, Mega Aggron. You know, I think Mega Metagross stole the show for me. Let's make him shiny. I'm gonna go with Xerneas for fairy type. I do like Eternal Flower Floette. I think that'd be too much of an obvious choice. I did like Mega Deoncé's design a lot. Thought Deoncé was also pretty good in the movie. Sylveon. Well, I was happy for the people that got a new Eevee evolution that was the new type. I wanted personally a dragon type Eevee, but we ended up with a fairy type Eevee, and I get it. It's cute. It's very, very cute. But I gotta go with Xerneas on this one. Favorite starter out of all of them? I'm gonna go with Froakie. So you see how my bias is. I love Squirtle. He was my first starter. I love Eevee too. You know what? I'm gonna put Squirtle. Because he was my first starter. Squirtle, Cyndaquil. I'm gonna change this to Torchic. Only because this was the way it went for me. Pokemon Blue, I chose Squirtle. First time I played Pokemon Heart Gold, I chose Cyndaquil. Sapphire, I chose Torchic. Diamond, I chose Piplup. Black and White, I chose Oshawott. Froakie, always. And aside from Lucario, Greninja is another one of my favorites. Mew's up there too. And Umbreon is too. But there's just something about these forms that, it's like they're so cool. And then also the fact that they were included in Smash Brothers probably helped guide my interest along because I liked using them a lot. Okay, so this was Gen 6 was like the gimmick of all gimmick forms. So I don't know if I'll count the ZA Pokemon as gimmicks because they were introduced as Gen 6 because they were introduced later. Technically the ZA ones are Gen 9, but if I have to pick who my favorite Mega is, who to pick? See, this form made Dragalge stand out a bit more. Alucha got a good Mega. Zygarde got a good Mega. Shadow Mewtwo. Eternal Flower Floette. Mega Greninja. I don't know who to pick. I guess I'm gonna have to just go with Mega Lucario. And then favorite legend. Look, I'm biased, okay? I like Primal Kyogre. I like original Kyogre, but Primal Kyogre just was the best. I also liked Volcanion because he was the first fire water mythical we got, but they didn't give Volcanion much of an event, and they just sort of, I think he was a giveaway Pokemon through a code, and it sucked because like I kind of expected him to have more of a in-game event back when he came out, so it was the first time I was really disappointed that Pokemon didn't really do in-game events as much as they used to. And then my favorite out of all these, out of all Gen 6, I'm gonna have to say it's Greninja. It's Greninja. Alright, so now we're up to Gen 7. Who do I pick? Favorite normal type Pokemon? I'm pretty sure Drompa's a dragon type Pokemon, but they have Silvally, which is like Silvally is like a clone of Arceus, but they don't really go into that very well in the game. I'm gonna have to go with Komala. As soon as I saw there was a koala Pokemon and he was official, I was on board right away. Favorite fire type Pokemon? Alolan Marowak, because because he's also ghost type, and it fits with the theme of Marowak from the original game, and being in Lavender Town, and also being the ghost that chases you out of the Pokemon Tower. Water. I did initially like Poplio as a starter, but I'm gonna have to go with Golisopod. I did like. Also, they had Ash Greninja, which was just really cool. It was a cool tie-in. I wish they kept it in later games. It was a shame that it was just locked to Gen 6, and now there's no way of getting it ever again if you already transferred it up to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So I'm gonna go with Golisopod. Favorite grass type? Rowlet. Rowlet was just look, I love the starters of Alola. And I was really tempted to pick Rowlet. Unfortunately I went with Poplio first, but you know, Rowlet was a really interesting Pokemon. Um I really would have gone with Rowlet. I think I went with Rowlet for Ultra Moon, but I went with Poplio for um, Vanilla Moon. Uh, electric types. You know, it's a shame they didn't really give this guy a movie or anything. I know he was in the show, but I didn't watch the anime series back then. I gotta admit, I gotta catch up on Sun and Moon. But I just remember hearing how goated the Sun and Moon anime was. Uh, but circuitry, it's definitely the most interesting electric type I've ever seen. And Ultra Beast being kind of like legendary Pokemon, but not really legendary Pokemon, added a whole new dynamic to the Pokemon franchise. Uh, favorite ice type from this generation. So, slim pickings for ice types for Gen 7. Uh, I was not a fan of Crab Brawler, so I didn't have Crabominable my first playthrough. Um, I did like the ice type version of Sandslash. Ninetales. I wasn't initially big on like the regional forms when they first revealed, but this one, these designs kind of grew on me after a while. For fighting, I'm gonna go with Marshadow. I like the design of Komo O. Buzzwole is just over the top. So is Pheromosa, just over the top. And then Beware. I couldn't get behind Beware. uh, I do like Beware though as a. I believe he's also a. Oh no, he's pure fighting. Huh. I thought he was like fighting and fairy. Well, I did like the design of Beware, but just not as a fighting type. Um, Poison. I went with Toxapex. I like the strategy with Toxapex. I like that he can protect himself and poison enemies at the same time. Ground type. Let's see, we had Sandygast and we had Palosan. We also had a Mudstale. It was cool having a horse, having an official steed. Um, who was my favorite flying type of this generation? I already picked Rowlet, but I'm gonna pick him again. Actually, I'm gonna pick Dartrix this time. Because eventually he does lose that flying type and becomes a ghost type with Decidueye. But Psychic. Who do I go with for Psychic? I was surprised that they made Alolan Raichu a Psychic type. I was surprised that they made any kind of like variant form of Raichu, because he also looks like the surfing Pikachu. Who did I like as a Psychic type though? I'm just gonna go with Ultra Necrozma because he's just uber powerful. Bug type. I was initially impressed with this. Vicky Volt. He goes from Grubbin to Charge Bug to Vikavolt. He just looks like a spaceship. Rock types. Neolego was a rock type? I didn't know that. I'm gonna go with Lycanroc Dusk because he was an exclusive. I think he was like an exclusive event Pokemon when they first rolled him out, and he didn't look like other Lycanrocs, and it was cool that they did that for a normal Pokemon. Ghost. I'm gonna go with Lunala. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lunala. I like the initial design of the moon and all that. Favorite dragon. I'm actually still not sure how Alolan Executor passes as a dragon, but I'm going to go with Drampa because he's a luck dragon. He reminds me of the dragon from Neverending Story. Ironically, more than Reshiram, but Reshiram, I guess you could say, also kind of shares that trait. Looking like a luck dragon. Dark. I mean, you had quite a few dark types. I'm not surprised. I'm gonna go with Alolan Persian because I thought it was cool that they brought back a fan favorite like Meowth, just in a different form. Steel type. I'm gonna go with Solgaleo. Solgaleo or Solgaleo. I always say Solgaleo. Magearna. Once I saw the film for Magearna and Volcanion, it actually made me feel more for Volcanion than the games, and I just saw that recently with Magearna, and I think I have this form. This was like a special distribution form you get for completing the Pokedex or something, but I think it was also distributed like way back then. And then there's another variation of this form that's an Ultra Ball that's even rarer, but I don't think Game Freak. I think Game Freak has yet to even distribute that. I think that actually no. I think the Ultra Ball form is for completing the Pokedex. I don't remember. I just remember it's pretty rare. It's a pretty rare Pokemon. We'll just leave it at that. So who was my favorite starter out of all these? Well, I liked Rowlet. I liked Litten, but I did like me Popplio. It's I have a water type bias. Although Litten did kind of grow on me too. I'll say Rowlet. I like Rowlet. Only because Legends EA also gives us Rowlet. So I'll go with Poplio. Gimmick form, my favorite gimmick form of this generation. Well, eventually they gave us Mega Magirna, Mega Zeraora. Damn, where were these forms back in the day, huh? Eventually they gave us Megas for the Sun and Moon Pokemon. Sun and Moon did have Megas from X and Y. Like they carried that gimmick over. And they had Z powers. So it was like a double whammy. You could use Mega forms or you could use Z powers, but you could not use both at once. Ultra Necrozma, they have yet to bring them back, and I hope someday, maybe in Pokemon Champions, we'll be able to actually form Mega Necrozma once more. Favorite legend? You know, out of all these, Zekrom. Zekron's 100% complete form felt like this was supposed to be the legendary of Pokemon Z, by the way. It would have been kind of like how Giratina had an origin form introduced in Platinum, and it made me question why they didn't just come out with Pokemon Z, but I guess they wanted to move right on to Sun and Moon. Since I don't know, I guess development on that started way earlier. My favorite Alolan Pokemon. Oh, that's such a hard thing to pick. I mean, which one screams Alola region the most to me? I'm gonna go with Marowak because, yeah, because of the luau. Yeah. Gen 8. So Gen 8 introduced. So Gen 8 was split. This is the first time the Pokemon mainline games and remakes or side games were just like split. Like there was no interaction between Legends Arceus, BDSP, and Sword and Shield. So, you know, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire felt like part of Gen 6, because they were in, technically, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was a prequel to X and Y, chronologically wise. And don't ask me how I know that. I'm just a Pokemon nerd. But Megas were first discovered in Hoenn, and the Hoenn region really leaned into that, like Mega forms and alternate dimension stuff. And then Sun and Moon also complemented that. Sun and Moon take place after Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then they lead into like Ultra Beasts and Hyper Wormholes and all that stuff. Sword and Shield barely has a connection with Legends Arceus and BDSP. In fact, most of the Pokedex that weren't in Sword and Shield show up in BDSP and Legends Arceus. So this was kind of an annoying thing at first. Actually, it's still an annoying thing. What am I talking about? So Gen 9 Pokemon, some of them here are from Legends Arceus and are Hisuian Pokemon, and some of them here are from the Galar region, which is Sword and Shield. If I have to pick my favorite normal type, I'm going to go with the one that is the ancestor of Stantler, but also the evolved form of Stantler. Fire types. There sure were a handful of fire types. Let's see, we got Hisuian Typhlosion, Cinderace, Scorbunny. I wasn't really into fire types as much as I was water types, but I felt like Scorbunny could be this generation's Torchic, so as soon as I saw that, I immediately wanted it. Water types. They had no shortage of water types for this generation. You have the Hisuian Samurott, which is like a dark samurai, and I liked that whole aesthetic. Urshifu could also evolve into, Gmax Urshifu, Rapid Strike form. You had Inteleon, I'm gonna go with G-Max Italian. I like Sobble. I didn't initially like Sobble at first, but then he grew on me as Italian. And then when I saw the G-Max form, that pretty much sealed the deal. he became my favorite starter after that. And then I questioned why I picked Scorbunny. I mean, a big flaming soccer ball with a face. Okay. His tail extends to give him like and they give him like a little cloud to snipe from. That's awesome. You know, so then you have grass and Applin. I do like Applin, but they don't have my favorite Applin evolution here. So I'm gonna go with what they did with actually no, I'm gonna go with Zarude. I like the movie and I like Zarude as a character. And as design wise, he wasn't bad. Design wise, he's pretty good. Also stats wise, he's pretty good. Electric. Well, let's see. This generation, he had a Hisuian Electrode. That was a grass electric type. Toxtricity. I wasn't really big on his design. I thought he looked cool as a G-Max. His G-Max is really cool. Dracozolt and Arctozolt. I don't know. These are the first fossil types that I'm like, I didn't really care for them. I'm gonna go with G-Max Pikachu. He's just a big Pikachu. And that should have been his final smash in Ultimate, by the way. Favorite ice type of this gen. Ice Cube. We have Calyrex, Gastrier, Hisuian Avalugg. I'm gonna go with G-Max Lapras. Favorite fighting type of this gen? Phalanx kind of surprised me. When I first came across Phalanx, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a bug type. Then when I caught it and found out it's a fighting type, I was honestly surprised. I was also surprised they made Zapdos a fighting type. They didn't have to do that. Oh, but then you have Sirfetch'd. And they made Galarian Farfetch'd a fighting type. And of all the Pokemon they could bring back, I mean, this actually made the most sense for Sword and Shield because he has a literal sword and a literal shield. Poison. Like I said, Toxtricity G-Max was pretty amazing, honestly, when I first saw it. Eternamax Eternatus. You can't even own this because Eternamax can't G-Max ever again after catching it. Just for story reasons, which I thought was stupid. So I'm going to go with G-Max Toxtricity. Ground type. You have Galarian Yamask, Renerigus, Galarian Stunfisk. I'm going to go with Ursaluna. I would never have thought they would give Teddiursa a third form after Ursaring, but Ursaluna kind of surprised me, and it was a nice surprise. I like the Rookidee line. I like Corviknight. Cramorant was funny. I liked running into Cramorant when it was like halfway eating a Pikachu, and thought that was pretty morbid for Pokemon. It's kind of interesting that they did that. I have to go with Hisui and Braviary because flying around on that thing all over Hisui was the best. It was the best. Psychic type. Calyx was interesting. Rapidash was interesting. It was interesting bringing it back. I don't really like the design of Galarian Rapidash as much as I do Galarian Ponyta. Um, let's see, Galarian Slowpoke, Slowking. I'm gonna go with Mr. Rhyme. They gave Mr. Mime. They finally gave Mr. Mime an evolution. Of course, it's a Galarian form evolution, but I'll take it. Um, Butterfree gets to evolve into Mothra. Um, Dreadnought. I just see this and I think of Gamera. I just think, when I think Gen 8 and I think G-Max battles, the first thing that comes to mind is Godzilla. I love kaiju movies. I love kaiju fights. So this generation, at first, people were making fun. They're just making them bigger. They replaced Mega Evolution with something that was less fun. It felt like, but I didn't feel that way at all. When I first started to actually play the games, I thought that it worked pretty well. I wish the games looked a little bit better and like HD and actually less like a 3DS game, but can't have it. Can't have it all. I guess just can't have it all. Uh, Dragapult was pretty awesome as a ghost type. Um, I'm surprised they brought back his Zoroark. Basket Legion even got a Hisuian evolution. But if I had to pick, Cursula is interesting because it's like nature. Spectrier. Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan of the legendaries this time around. I like one in particular, but you know, we'll get there. Hisui and Gudra is just amazing. Um, I want to pick Eternamax, Eternatus, but I'm gonna go with Hisui and Gudra. Favorite dark type. This is based off of who I like, but also just strategy wise, I think they did a really good job at making Moltres look even more intimidating than he was in the original games. Uh, what else have we got here? Dialga Origin Form. Ooh. Dialga Origin Form. Another evolution of Meowth. Another regional variant of Meowth, I should say. But we'll go with Dialga Origin Form. I'm glad they gave the Diamond and Pearl legendaries forms, even if it's not in the remakes. It's in Legends Arceus, and it actually worked out pretty well for them. They brought them back in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm pretty glad that they brought them back in a mainline game. And they weren't just relegated to Legends. Fairy. Behemoth Blade, Zacian, Crown Zacian, Enamorous. I really liked Alchemy, especially G-Max Alchemy, because it's a big old wedding cake. Although I wouldn't even call it a wedding cake, it's just a big sweet cake. Favorite starter. So I liked Scorbunny at first. Sobble grew on me because of what he turns into. I'm gonna go with Sobble. And then out of all these, What's my favorite gimmick form? I guess they're counting the regional forms as the regional variants as gimmick forms, but I think out of all these, who do I like the most out of all these? Hmm. It's a tie between Gmax Intellion, Eternamax Eternatus, Gmax Urshifu Rapid Strike. Duraludon just becomes a skyscraper, which is funny, but I find the Eternamax Eternatus interesting. Out of all the legendaries, this generation didn't give us a lot of great ones. I'm just gonna say it outright. This generation didn't give us a lot of great ones, but if I had to go with one, it'd be Zacian. And my favorite Pokemon this generation, let's see. Which one did I like the most out of all these from Gen 9? Well, Gen 8, I should say. Gen 8. I'm gonna go with Zacian. Because he's a dog wielding a sword. What's not to love? Now we're on Gen 9. We're almost done. We're almost there. Normal type. So we got Terrapagos or Terrapagos, Megadrampa. Oh, because Legend ZA is also Gen 9. Wouldn't you know? Blood Moon Ursaluna. Dunsparce. The Dunsparce. 3-segment the Dunsparce. I didn't even realize there were 2 versions of this Pokemon, to be honest with you. You have Tandemaus, and then you have Mousehold. And then you have Mousehold family of 3. And out of all of these, the one that sticks out the most would be Cyclizar, for reasons that he is actually the box legendaries present day form. And I don't know, he's just a dragon type, you know, it's like a pretty simple Pokemon. Fire. I'm gonna go with for fire, I'm gonna go with Ceruledge this time. I think it was really interesting. They gave us a Pokemon that, again, like depending on the item it holds, could turn into either or. And I'm gonna make him shiny. Because just so you know, this is actually one of the worst shinies. Because only his eyes turn shiny. Only his eyes. Nothing else. Favorite water type of this generation? I like Palafin. I think Palafin was really interesting. I wish he could be in his hero form all the time. I also like Tatsugiri and Dondozo, but yeah, and then these are just, forms of Pokemon that we already, Greninja already got like a form. I think Greninja got like 2 forms already, didn't he? Or it was just Ash Greninja. Yeah. Well, popular Pokemon get more forms. The more popular the Pokemon, the more forms they get. That's how it works in this franchise. Favorite grass type? I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Hydrapple. Favorite electric type. I'm really glad that this generation came out with they have a different form of Raikou, and it looks like the things from Horizon Zero Dawn. Uh, only this is only that's a futuristic looking robot. I forgot what they're called, and this is an animal. I also like Miraidon, but not as an electric type. Uh, favorite ice type. Iron Bundle. It was pretty cool coming across this. I'm gonna go with Baxcalibur. I'm gonna go with his Mega form. Baxcalibur actually reminds me more of Godzilla than Tyranitar. So I wonder if that was the intention. Maybe they just wanted to give us another Kaiju Mon. Favorite fighting type. This one's kind of easy. I like Annihilate. Favorite ground type. Although I might like Annihilate more as a ghost type. I don't know. Because what other ghost types do they have? Not much. Oh, I have Goldango, but eh. Koraidon. I like his shiny. I like his shiny form. What's his favorite poison type? Petrant was just weird. That whole DLC storyline was weird and made everybody do like a chicken dance, and I wasn't a big fan of it. So I'm gonna go with Mega Scolipede because I picked Scolipede as the best poison type of Gen 5. Um, ground. You had a lot of interesting regional variants. Yeah, Great Tusk, Iron Treads, Clodsire, Toad Squirrel. Who do I go with this? I mean, I know I already picked him, but Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's kind of baffling. This Ursaluna looks different from that Ursaluna, but this Ursaluna got a cooler form that's more upright. That one's on all fours. Flying types. Flamigo was interesting. I like its design, but that's all I like about it. Everything else, like, I don't know. It's not a very good I don't think it's a particularly good Pokemon. I think it's an interesting Pokemon. Bombardier looked intimidating the first time I encountered it. Squawkabillies. I like the Squawkabillies. Iron Juglius. I'm glad that Staraptor got a Mega, actually. I'm going to go with Mega Staraptor. I would go with Mega Dragonite, but I wasn't a big fan of its design. Psychic. I'm going to go with Farigiraf because I'm glad they gave Girafarig a new form, a new evolution, and its body, its head kind of looks like a Chain Chomp from Mario. And I always thought that the tail looked like that. And it's just Girafarig backwards. Farigiraf is Girafarig backwards. So I love it for that. Favorite bug type this generation? I was not into any of these. Robska, Tarantula. I like Slitherwing. I already picked Mega Scolipede. Mega Golisopod. Golisopod getting a Mega is pretty cool. I'm gonna go with Slytherin though. Favorite rock type. I'm gonna go with Iron Thorns. Dragon. They made Entei a dragon in this game. Gouging Fire. I was really impressed with Tatsugiri. And they make him look like sushi for his mega form, which is just funny. Favorite dark. So we got a lot of picks for dark. You have Mega Darkrai, Mega Malamar, Mega Greninja, Mega Scrafty, King Gambit. If I had to pick, I'd say Roaring Moon because he's the ancestor of Salamence. Favorite steel type. Tinkaton is fairy and steel. Archaludon. I like this design of Mega Lucario, new Mega Lucario. I have a bias with Mega Lucario. Favorite fairy type. Okay. I'm not much for fairy types, but Iron Valiant was an interesting mix between, you kind of combine Gardevoir with Gallade and you get Iron Valiant. Starter type. Oh, starter. Favorite starter Pokemon. I wasn't big on the starters in Gen 9. Yeah, I wasn't really big on them. Sprigatito, Fuecoco, Quaxley. I think I chose Fuecoco because I just like his design. I like Mega Feraligatr a lot. If I had to, I initially liked Fuecoco. I didn't like what any of them turned into. Sprigatito I thought would be on all fours. No, that ended up being Skeledirge. And then Quaxley turning into a dancer. I mean that's pretty cool. But yeah, I like Fuecoco. This generation I like the fire type. Initially I liked the fire type of that generation, of Generation 8, but then the water type grew on me. And this one, none of them kind of grew on me. I mean, the Sprigatito kind of grew on me, but I still stuck with Fuecoco. And now gimmick form. Oh, there are a lot of gimmick forms this generation. I'll tell you that much. What's my favorite of all of them? I like that they introduced a whole new type with Stellar type. Mega Chestnut made me appreciate Chestnut in a whole new light. And I like that they kept with this theme. Tank, magic damage dealer, ninja. It's kind of got like an RPG theme with these three starters. But if I had to pick a favorite, who would it be? I guess I'll go with Mega Greninja. And Legend. Who was my favorite legend of this generation, of Gen 9? I'm going to go with Miraidon. Actually, yeah, I'm going to go with Miraidon. you gain a personal relationship because it's with you the whole way through it. It's the first time the legendary joins you from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And who is my favorite Gen 9 Pokemon of all? So it has to be a Gen 9 Pokemon. Um, they introduced so many variant forms of Pokemon we already know. So out of all of them, I'm gonna say Palafin. I mean, I like Palafin. I like its design. I also like Cerulege a lot. I think he looks just badass. Just really cool. Um, but yeah, I'll go with Hero Palafin. So now the crown favorites. Who is my favorite normal type out of all of these normal types? Oh boy. It's still gonna have to go with Eevee. Favorite fire types of all? Gonna have to go with Blaziken. Well, I'll put Mega Blaziken just for good measure. Because I just really like that they gave him a Mega form. And they brought him back. Uh, Interestingly enough, X and Y introduced the Blaziken Mega form before Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Then they gave Megas to Swampert and Sceptile after that. So for water, I'll pick. Jeez, who's my favorite water type? Out of all these, I would say Greninja. I would say Greninja because Squirtle I always saw as just my favorite starter. Totodile, you know, Totodile's just a cool design. Kyogre, and again, cool design. Samurott, cool design. Golisopod, Inteleon, Hero Palafin. But Greninja is just different. Greninja's just built different because of his abilities, protein being one of them, and then the Ash Greninja form they gave him back in the days, which is just really cool. Uh, so yeah, I'll go stick with Greninja. My favorite grass type of all time has to be who? Route. Has to be Route. Favorite electric type of all time. Oh boy. So I really like Ampharos a lot. I like Notch2 Pichu a lot. Um, Max Pikachu. I mean, I just Pikachu. I say he reminds me of Fat Pikachu, like the old school Pikachu. I'm gonna go with G Max Pikachu. But yeah, just back in the day, Pokemon Yellow. That was like if you had that game, you were the coolest kid in school. Uh, Unfortunately, I would not have that game till the 3DS Virtual Console. But I knew Pokemon Yellow was right from the get go was gonna be popular because you get a Pikachu just like Ash in the anime. Ice. Out of all these ice types, I'm gonna go with Lapras because you can ride on its back, and after all these years, still just the coolest designed Pokemon. Lorelei also being one of my favorite Elite Four members because of all the plush dolls she has in her house. In I think it was like 3 Island in Fire Red and Leaf Green. And every time you defeat the Elite Four, she puts a new plush doll in her house. Just a little fun fact. Uh, Favorite fighting type, obviously Lucario. Favorite poison type. Look, I'm a Gen 1er, but I'm gonna go with Crobat. I'm a Gen 2er. I'm a Gen 2er. Even though I never played, I didn't play Gold and Silver when they originally first came out. I love the Johto Pokemon. Something about Johto always seemed mysterious to me. Um, Ground. We have Galurk, Garchomp, Flygon, Donphan, Zygarde, Mudsdale, Ursaluna, Blood Moon, Ursaluna. Who are we gonna pick? Who are we gonna pick? Well, Flygon, I would say, is a fan favorite, but he's more of a. I would say he's more of a dragon type than a fly. I associate him more with the air than with the ground. So if I had to pick a favorite ground type, who would it be? I'm gonna go with Glurk. Just because he's unique. He's unique out of all these. Flying, I have to go with Rayquaza. Oh, Mega Rayquaza. We'll go with Mega Rayquaza. Favorite Psychic type, I have to go with Mew. Especially the shiny form. And you know what? Let's make that Mega Rayquaza shiny too. And just for good measure, let's make these guys shiny also. There we go. Favorite bug type. I've already said before. All right, Butterfree. It's a fan favorite. It's a classic Pokemon. But I think Heracross might be my favorite. So I'm gonna put Mega Heracross. Make him shiny. Actually, you know what? Keep him the way he is. I'll just, you know what? How about I just make them all shiny? I don't know. I don't like Heracross shiny. I don't know what it is. I don't mind. I don't mind these two being pink, but Heracross, the blue looks right. Favorite rock type. You know, if I had to pick, what rock type do I like the most out of all of these? I would say I like Tyranitar, but you know, I like Tyrantrum. I like Tyrantrum even more. Make him shiny. Oh yes, I like the blue. Okay. Just hits right. Favorite ghost type out of all of these? Gengar is such an original Pokemon. Chandelure. I like Honedge. I'm not a big fan of what it evolves into. Lunala, I like as a legendary. I'm gonna go with Annihilate. And it took me a while to train one of these up from an egg to get like perfect EV stats. So I'm gonna go with Annihilate. Favorite dragon type. Out of all these dragons, surprisingly, it's not Dragonite. I love Dragonite. I do like it, but I like Giratina even more. And it doesn't even have anything to do with like the movie or anything that he's attached to. It's just, I think over all these years, I gained a fondness for Giratina and his origin form and his origins overall. Dark type, I'm gonna go with Umbreon. Favorite steel type. Out of all of these, I have to go with I know Steven, the champion of Hoenn, uses Omega Metagross in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And I like that design a lot. I also like Solgaleo a lot. So I got a tie between these three. Hmm. I'm gonna go with Metagross. Favorite fairy type? I'm gonna go with Xerneas. Make it shiny. I have a shiny Xerneas that's just been chilling in Pokemon Home ever since I got him because they didn't allow us to transfer Xerneas. I don't think they allowed us to transfer Xerneas into Scarlet and Violet. So yeah, it's gonna be cool to actually get to transfer it to Legend ZA and actually play it. Um, favorite starter of all time. Although I like Froakie, I like what he evolves into more. I like what Sobble evolves into. I like what Torchic evolves into. Favorite starter is always going to be Squirtle. No matter what, it's always going to be Squirtle. Favorite gimmick. Favorite gimmick form. I mean, I'm going on basically what looks the coolest to me. Uh, what happened to the? Got to put some music here. What was my favorite gimmick form? I'm gonna have to go with Mega Charizard. I think Mega Charizard might just be the best Mega that they ever did. Uh, and that's saying something. I'm usually one for water types, but Mega Charizard just hits different with the blue, and its shiny form looks even better, more colorful. Favorite legendary? Now this is a tough one. Favorite legendary? Well, Arceus is more of a mythical Pokemon. I guess you could sort of count him as a legendary, since Legends Arceus. They make him available right at the end. I like Primal Kyogre. I also like Miraidon a lot. I think Miraidon, just design wise and um, battle wise, it's really good. It's a really good Pokemon. Um, but what the favorite legend of all time? Mewtwo, Deoxys, Arceus, Lugia. There's just so many. I'm gonna go with Arceus though. Reason being, Legends Arceus is still probably my favorite game in the franchise, other than Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And now for the grand finale. Favorite Pokemon of all time. Who's my favorite Pokemon? Well, I've been saying it probably this whole two video, but Lucario. Of course, it's Lucario. I would have a team of just 6 Lucarios if I could, and they'll all probably die, but so click a team box in a Pokemon. So what's this now? Favorite regional bird. Favorite regional bird. I'm gonna go with Starly. I know I didn't go with Staraptor for favorite flying type, but You know, that's because I'm a little biased with the legends here. Favorite regional mammoth. Favorite regional mammal. That's interesting. Um, out of all these, you know, I really like Zigzagoon. I mean, I like Centret too, but I grew up playing Sapphire and Zigzagoon was like, this was Zigzagoon everywhere. Favorite regional bug type. You know, the bugs are cool, but what do I have to go for? I have to go for Caterpie. He's original. Favorite pseudo legend. Well, here we go with the pseudo legend. So these are Pokemon that are very rare in their respective games. Some of them not some of them rarer than others, but you know, it's just like they have stats that rival that of a legendary. I am gonna go with, what do we have? Mm, maybe maybe Dragonite. You know, and make it legend. Make it Mega Dragonite. Favorite Pikachu clone. So many. I like that they include the hat and cosplay Pikachu, because of course. I was really big on the Notch-Deer Pichu, and Pichu also was kind of like the first clone of Pikachu. They were native to Johto, supposedly. I mean, you have to hatch it from a Pikachu egg. Favorite evolution? That's easy. Favorite fossil? Out of all the fossils, the one that just screams dinosaur. Favorite regional form? I'm glad they gave a regional form to a few of these, but if I had to pick a favorite, I'm gonna say Braviary. Actually, no. I'm gonna say Samurott. Favorite Gigantamax. I hope they bring back Gigantamax forms in Legends Galar or whatever the next The next time they're gonna have Gmax form. They gotta make more of these. Who's my favorite? I mean, I didn't pick him before, but I think Gmax Blastoise. I use him a lot in Pokemon Go. He's got like so many cannons. Favorite baby? I like Riolu, obviously, but I'm gonna go with I like Munchlax a lot. Favorite box legendary. Okay, so these are all the legendaries that have been on the front cover of the boxes. You know who sticks out of all of these? Who sticks out? Shadow Lugia. You can actually make him shy. That's funny. That'd be like a 1 in a million. I don't even think you can catch like Lugia shiny in that game. That'd be funny if you could, and then he just reverts back to the pink Lugia. Favorite mythical. I like that they call this one JordanosArt. Favorite mythical. I'm gonna have to go with Mew. I would say Jirachi or Celebi. I like Celebi, but Mew is like the first one of these. Obviously, the first set of three mythicals. I have to go with the first one. Favorite Ultra Beast. Okay. Favorite Ultra Beast. Circuitry, because it just looks ridiculous. Favorite Paradox Pokemon. I do like Walking Wake a lot. Doesn't make sense, but I like its design. I also like Great Tusk a lot. I'm gonna go with Walking Wake. Favorite type? Water. Favorite Pokeball? The Origin Ball, the Cherish Ball. The Lure Ball. You know, it'd be cool if we could actually catch Pokemon using the GS Ball. It's never gonna happen though. I'm gonna have to go with the Moon Ball. Favorite Spinda? Randomize. I don't know. Favorite Vivillon? Monsoon, Ocean, Polar, River. I have this in my PC. Pokeball Vivillon. Favorite Alcremie. Salted cream alchemy with berry sweets. Salted cream alchemy with clover sweets. I have to go with that one. Favorite new Evo. So, I like Umbreon. What's my favorite new evolution? I like the fact that they gave some Pokemon that totally didn't need a third evolution. They gave them a third evolution anyway. That would have to be Annihilate. It's part of my Gen 1 bias. So now we get to make a team. Click a team box, then a Pokemon from the grids copy it to the box. So I'm gonna have to make a team. Team of all my favorites. Let's see. We'll start with Umbreon. Actually, yeah, we'll start with Umbreon. Then going down the list, we need it's a good support. Xerneas. Rayquaza. Our fourth Pokemon should be Lucario. Because, of course, our fifth Pokemon has to be Greninja. And then our sixth Pokemon who should be number 6. Arceus. Maybe instead of Rayquaza, I'll go with Mega Charizard. And instead of Xerneas, let me go with... There we go. Now it's perfect. Yeah, now it's perfect. So we got Umbreon, Mega Blaziken, Mega Charizard X, Shiny Lucario, Shiny Greninja, and Mega Blastoise. Oh, there. Okay. Okay. So this is my full tier list. I mean, not really a tier list, but, you know, just some favorites of mine. based on every type, every gimmick, every legend. Shout out to CasuneAvenger.github for making this. Shout outs to all the creators of this, the art, all these guys right here. That took way longer than I thought it would. But, alright. Now we can go and actually play some games. See ya.